Okay, so I finally finished varnishing, painting, all the stuff that's not super interesting. Pretty happy with it. I'm doing just a little bit more like Omnic makeup, um, but it's varnished. So if I want to do anything more, I'm kind of stuck with it. So that's not a bad thing. Always good to move on. So I'm gonna start putting together the guts. First thing I'm really curious about is getting this, the adding some elastic to it. So I've got two types of elastic. I'm gonna try this thick stuff that I just bought. Um, my mask at Anime NYC fell apart on me, so I'm gonna try to give it like a little bit nice thick band to sort of like rest on the back of my neck. What I've already done here, just sort of prepared in advance. I used the annoying Eva foam for the job piece because I bought a pack of it by mistake, and you know, any chance that I can still use it. This is the Eva foam that is really kind of bumpy and thick, so I used a Dremel and sort of like already cleaned this up. I'm going to use some contact cement on this. And so contact cement you usually want a nice surface for it to grip onto and you know, soak into. So I'll try. So again, the goal is to go from sort of fat bob to svelte bony bob. So I'm going to just maybe start with just gluing one side just to see how well it sticks and sort of how the angle goes. The fun thing with contact cement, you can never wait long enough between coats to let it dry, so I might do that, and then I might jump to some other things while it dries. So, I know a lot of people use barge. I use weldwood just because I can buy it locally, because I'm always running out and chasing it down. So, I'm not even going to cut the elastic yet. I'm just going to do one side. Got the brush. And again, I already dremeled this, and I clearly didn't clean it up well enough, so I got some dust here. I hate dremeling. It just gets messy. Okay. So I'm gonna just put a sort of a thin coat on. Just give it plenty of time to dry. A lot of people don't like contact cement, but I think it is a blessing to the cosplay world. It's if you look at like older cosplay tutorial videos, they're like using, you know, hot glue and super glue, and you know, those have their uses. I'm going to be doing some hot gluing here in a bit, but when you're sealing like an edge, like contact cement has just saved my ass so many times, but you just have to be so patient with it. Like, it's gotta like let that dry, let that take its time, and I'm gonna kind of do another edge here. So one thing I forgot to do, I don't think I need to do it. Just generally whenever I glue anything, I try to like score some edges into it. So I'm actually gonna do that super quick. I'm finding my X-Acto blade. Where are you? It's not my X-Acto blade, but this will do. Just always so you kind of need a flat surface so that the two surfaces can press against each other. And I always feel like just a little bit of extra grit goes a long way, just making sure that it has something to soak into, something to grip. This is even more important for like for hot glue, but I always feel like it's better safe than sorry, especially with like a stretchy material, because it stretches. If you're ever actually doing this with, actually now that I remember it, there's actually probably should have done this. There's like something that you do where you actually attach this to something that's not stretchy, and then glue it down. We'll see how this works. I mostly have had luck with just kind of gluing this down. Basically, you would normally, if you really want like a solid attachment, you take this, just take a piece of fabric or non-adhesive Velcro, something like that, something like really thick. If it's like a smaller one, you can also use just like those like nylon bands or something, and sew that in. And so then you have like a segment that's really firm, that's not going to stretch. Because again, if you have a glued seal and then it goes like this, it's going to sort of pop out. I'm going to just try making sure that my cement just gets really soaked in really well, and then I give it plenty of time to dry and hope for the best. The bright side, this mask is not going to really need this, and so I don't think I'm going to be putting too much pressure on it, but when this falls apart on me at the con, you guys can laugh at me. Always try to at least do 2 coats. Once this is done, I'm gonna go start working on these eyelids. Got those somewhere. Just for good measure, just so I have time on one side drying, I'm gonna go ahead and just glue the other half as well. Contact cement sometimes like thinking ahead can go a long way, because once it dries, like it doesn't do you any harm. It's not like sticky to you. It's only sticky to other cement. So not too thick, not too thin. I'm gonna do the scoring, but again, whatever. I'll feel lucky. We're gonna let that dry a bit. Alright, so next up, I've got to give this guy some life. Let me show this in the other video. I have to find these. Here's one eyelid. Where's the other one? I hope I don't have to remake these. There we go. So, 2 kind of ugly eyelids. The important part is this part. That's all that matters. I put these on earlier. You can kind of see I had hot glued these and I ripped it out. Goal is to kind of attach these somehow, so I'm gonna spend a little more time thinking where I want these. I think I'm actually gonna mark it this time. So symmetry is an enemy. It's my bane of my existence. I've never been good at it, so mostly because I get impatient. So I'm going to just kind of position. It's interesting because I'm trying to decide how much like shade I want him to be throwing, because you can go like really like why am I here, or like some like I'm going to destroy you. I think the happy medium is probably closer, because I think I went a little too low and he looked like he was stoned. So I'm gonna do this. And I'll play it a little safe. On the bright side, I think this is relatively easy to change in the future. I'm going to hold this down very carefully, and before it has a chance to move, I'm going to mark it. And again, last time I did it, I just like, oh, I'm feeling lucky, this will be easy, I'll just hot glue it, and I think it just shifted the slightest bit. And with like eyeballs, you need those to be like really symmetrical, because, you know, people will notice it. At least I noticed it. It drove me crazy, so I ripped it out and was like, hey, I'll just redo them. It's something to do on my stream. I'd like to do like these long strokes that just kind of idiot proof, especially when you're doing this on like a bumpy surface. Measure twice, count once, look at it again. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just glue this one first. I'm gonna heat up my hot glue gun because it's gonna be easy to get one right and then measure the other one against this one. So I'm gonna give that a second. I'm gonna, while that's heating up, I'll go back to my old stuff. Let's go back here. I'm going to take this and attach this on. It doesn't really matter too much because this is the first one. I'm just gonna say, just put it on and see what happens. So, it's maybe a little higher than I wanted, but let's see what happens. Let's see how this feels. It's actually higher up on my head than I imagined. It's actually going to cover up my ear, but that's not a bad thing. It actually might be easier for what I'm trying to do. It actually hits me right at the base of the head. So yeah, I'm going to run with it. You know, it's probably meaning to do more like this, but I think this will work. Alright, so I'm going to measure this out now. Again, I want this to actually be kind of tight because I want this to wrap around me, so I'm going to just not pulling too much, and then I'm going to let this, and I might stabilize this with a little bit of hot glue. Oh, I hate the idea of doing that. Let's see what happens. I hate hot glue in general. Hot glue is, you're going to see me cursing and screaming as I start working with it. I'm going to try to measure this just to here. Just kind of eyeball this. Inch. It's elastic, it doesn't have to be perfect. Let's see what happens. The goal is it will like this, and when I put it on, this will pull back and hopefully pull the entire mask with it. And hopefully I won't wind up having to rip all this out and do it over again. I probably will have to. So back to my contact cement, put this away. Sorry, we're asking for some links. Alright, let's glue this on. Alright. That's already dry. This is going in this way. This is going to the top. So I've not worked with this nylon before, or at least with cement. This other kind I have worked with, and it works pretty well. It's interesting, just it wasn't super promising seeing how much it was already starting to stretch, but I don't know, maybe I didn't let the contact cement dry long enough. We'll see. It was fun. So I was at Anime NYC, and I was. So let me grab this mask. It's right behind me. flies off. This was another mask that I did. This was for Wolfram. So this is how I can see my makeup on here. As to see where this had actually broken off. So I really probably should reinforce this some more. I had to get one of my friends thankfully saved the day with some crazy glue at the con. So this is basically what I'm doing, but I'm using a much thicker piece, and this was really needed stretched, so I'm hoping that I won't have the same problem this time. So letting that dry, coming back to this, actually kind of held in place. So again, I hate hot glue. I suck at hot glue. Let's see if I can manage to actually get this glued. I'll check it one more time. All right. Not too much side eye. Again, this is where those like sort of score lines kind of come in handy because it's like it looked like it was right, but it was still different. The downside of using such a fat marker. It's never as accurate, but those score lines are a lifesaver. Less so for this one. The next one is going to really matter because this one, wherever we're at, is where we're going to be. It's just getting the other one to match. So, guys. The secret to hot glue is I have no secrets. I'm just bad with it. So I am going to try to be a little patient with it. I really want to touch that, but I know if I do it, it's going to burn me. So I'm going to maybe touch it with this. Alright. So I do know with hot glue is one of the things where it doesn't cure, it cools. A lot of people will use, stay down. Oh, see, I hate hot glue. So when things cure, there's a certain amount of time for like a chemical reaction to happen for something to harden. With hot glue, it just needs to cool. More advanced people will use stuff that you can actually use. What's it called? It's like the stuff that you can use to dust like your computer with. It just like rushes out like some intense immediate cool air and will actually cool it for you. I'm not that advanced, so I think this is good. I need to restore some. I'll open a new thing of hot glue. Let me just look at this corner. It's a little bit more. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna, with Velcro or anything, it's always good. Like hot glue, where I do like hot glue, is it's really good for kind of reinforcing edges. Edges are where things will often peel up, and once it starts to peel up, it starts adding pressure and starts to pull other things. So, and you know, it's a part of the mask where usually people won't see it. So it's like a first line of defense, but it's like it should never be your only line of defense because I hate hot glue. You could probably even add some like across it to kind of prevent it from stretching too much, but I'm gonna just, you know, pray. I'll let these two dry. This is almost dry. I'm gonna give it like another moment. So just a refresher of what I'm working on right now. Gonna get both eyelids in. Gonna get this in. After that, we're gonna add some like acrylic to this. I've already shaped this. That's gonna give our green. Once that's done, we are gonna hot glue on some lights in here, and hopefully be done with this mask. skimming this up. Okay, so while this is drying, I can start. This is what I messed up before, and you can see again where I had sort of decided to redo it today. I'm going to kind of eyeball it, but really what matters is this side. And this is where my task light can be very deceptive because the shadows are deceiving. And somewhere out there, there's somebody who's like, yeah, symmetry's easy. Spit in their face. So you guys can see. Even you can't even see. It looks wrong in the stream. It looks no, yeah, no, that's right. This is going to be the next 40 minutes. Let me actually go back, because it's kind of going back and forth between these two. Because in theory, I should be placing this kind of cement. That's what was wrong. Maybe further in. It's just so hard too. It's like, even with like eyes, it's usually so much easier. And maybe that's what I probably should have done, is I should have made this a single piece. Okay, here's the advice for if I were to do this again. Make this a single piece that you can just fold in half and get a perfect symmetry. Measure the center and just glue it there. That would be 1,000 times better. You guys get to watch me struggle doing it the wrong way. Although if I do wind up gluing it a second time, wrong, I might actually just go back and just remake these. Because this is the piece that it's like worth getting right. Because like if you have, like you all know from like making faces or drawing, like a slight incorrect position of like the eyeballs, like it creates that that uncanny valley effect where it's like something's quite off and you don't really know it, and it just sort of just creates a little bit of a cringe value. And like the eyes are so much, are like one of the major things that actually will trigger that reaction from people. So pray for me. A little bit more. Almost a little bit up here. Okay, I think this is good. Flip it over, measure it, glue it, and then find out it's wrong. Okay. Bright side, this is giving my contact cement a lot of time to dry. What I usually do, it's a good trick, is find something that takes like 15 minutes that you enjoy doing. For me, it's like a round of Overwatch. I usually will sit down and apply contact cement, and then I'll go play a match, and then I'll come back. And it sort of like forces you not to like rush into it. It's like you spend all this time cutting and perfecting and getting something just perfect, and then you rush into like gluing things together. It just like spider webs open. You're just like, so, all right, YOLO, let's go. Just like, I'm gonna do just the corners just in case I have to move it. Yeah, normally this is like, oh, the glue's there. It's fine, I can move. Like, now you have to wait for it to cool down. Never remember. I don't know if you guys can hear my music or not, but never remember the name of this band. But they're the ones that did the soundtrack for Your Name, which, if you've not seen, you should watch. It's a really, really good anime movie. It's kind of like a Freaky Friday, but with a twist, and it just has this sort of like mood music the entire time. All right, let's look at it. All right, just enough. So what's funny is I mentioned this in my last stream. Like the reason why these came, and I'm happy with them because they like add a lot of personalities. I screwed up my original piece of plastic, and this one is just not big enough. So their true purpose is making it so that I can actually cover the full gap of the eyeballs with this. I'm not going to glue this piece yet. I'm going to put more glue around this one just to finalize it. It's actually pretty nice doing just the corners at first, because usually the problem I have is like I'll be running across it and then the hot glue will like pick up. I might start doing that, like just do a little bit, get it to harden, and then like seal the rest. This off. Actually, no, I'm gonna still need it. Let's try. This is nice and dry. So now I made this mistake before. Make sure I glue it at the same kind of angle. To keep this nice and tight. So maybe starts up a little higher. Do it a little bit too tight, but it's on there. Need to add a little bit more. Yep, wrong. Wrong. Start over. Yeah, no, this is way higher. That would have screwed things up. Okay. So I scored the wrong spot, but I think this will still be fine. Famous last words. Reglue. I have plenty of things to do. Oh yeah, the live action Your Name. I forgot about that. Because it's gonna. I'm curious to see how they'll do it because it's taking place in the U.S. and there's just certain parts about like the temple priest and all that sort of stuff. I'm curious how that's gonna translate. I haven't heard anything more about it, but I remember being like, oh, how are they making that? Like, it's not gonna just be like a live action, like typical bad Netflix live action version. It's actually they're gonna make a Western version of it. Oh yeah, J.J. Abrams. Mixed feelings. I'm sure it will be fine. It's just after what Death Note, it's hard to. I'm still interested. I haven't read up anything more about it. The live action. Suck at proper nouns. Sword Art Online. Because I loved the first half of the first season of that anime. But then they like started playing house and they got the kid. I'm like, why? Oh yeah, you do know they're doing a live action Sword Art Online. I would say, like, if you like Sword Art Online, what you really should watch is Konosuba, which is basically Sword Art Online meets Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Okay, so this has got to dry. I'm happy with, so I can probably glue these on. I need to find, I have one other thing to glue here. I can't remember where I put it. Behind me. Yeah, so I did, you will hear me mention this place a lot. One of my favorite places ever is Canal Plastic Center. It's just a wonderful store. It's just like, yeah, we sell plastic in various shapes and sizes. And then I bought like a bunch of like random things trying to figure out how to like make these eyes. I was originally planning on getting these like half domes. You cannot see through a half dome at all. So, and then I was like, okay, well maybe these are big enough, but like the idea of like looking through these like, you know, glass cubes, I was like, I also need like little weights to hold things down, so why not? But they also have like just so many like just little squares. This was one that was originally meant to cover up one of the eyes, but I screwed up the gluing. I screwed up this thing, which I'm about to redo, so you guys may get to see me screw it up again. So I just, because the glue was like stuck on it, I went ahead and just kind of sanded it to make at least the texture to be even. This is just going to cover up the dots on the top, so that I don't need to see through these. I might also bought, I was debating, and I'm still debating, I was going to wait to sort of get the lights in to see. I also bought these like 1/4 inch, really, let's see if I can get it, little 1/4 inch acrylic spheres. And they have these in every size imaginable. I could, in theory, squeeze one of these into the hole here. I want to just kind of see how that maybe helps the light or not. Yeah, these are, I was sort of like very preciously like going to check out, and I have like these 2 tiny little balls, please. They're something like 30 cents each or something crazy like that. I also bought, I didn't need them, but I just figured why not. They also have mirrored glass, and they have these in tons of different colors, and I don't think any of these items, they were all like under $1, so they're super super cheap, and it's just a fun store to just kind of explore and play around with. They have lots of like sheets of stuff and domes, and there's another store I haven't gone to yet. I mentioned in my last stream, the Canal Rubber, but they sell a whole rainbow of Eva foam of any size imaginable. Huge rolls of 1-inch Eva foam. It's expensive Eva foam though. Like we're talking like $60 to $80, but for like a 7-foot by 1 yard roll of 1-inch Eva foam. So one of these days I'm going to be doing a big armor build and they're going to steal all my money. Okay, so I'm going to glue these two, and the glue I'm going to use is another one of my nemesis slash saviors. I don't remember where I put it. This is like a theme. I can never find all my things. E6000. And I'm going to hope that the front hasn't sealed. So E6000 will glue things when nothing else will. I think it's mostly used for like jewelry making. You can just take a gemstone and you know, some metal and manage to glue it together. When this stuff cures, which it takes forever to cure, it takes like 3 days for this stuff to fully cure. It actually kind of becomes like this very kind of like gummy material, and it'll soak in to anything or stick with anything. So it's both like, it's kind of like a combination of every type of glue you've ever used. Like it it glues on contact, it sort of fills in gaps, and it's sticky and sort of pulls things together. I don't know the science behind this stuff, or if any of the things that I just said was actually even correct or not. But if you need to glue 2 things together, generally speaking, this will do it. You just need to make sure that it's something that will not need to get like, they'll be able to stand still for a long time. This stuff is also pretty cool for if you've seen my endeavor that I did. It has this strange like plastic semi-translucent material that I needed to glue to things, and when you glue or tape or do anything to it, you can see through it. But this stuff was so adhesive, even with the tiniest sliver, I was able to actually redo my mask, and I just kind of just glued only along like the edge of the eyelid where I knew I was gonna just kind of do kind of like a eyeliner type effect. With that tiny little bit, I was able to glue the front piece of my mask. So this stuff is awesome. I love this stuff, but you sort of have to plan it at the end of your day. So I think this is gonna be fine because I'm after this. Maybe I will wait a little bit. Let me at least finish the other piece. Because this mostly will hold into place. Like, I'm not going to need to clamp it down because just as it's designed, it kind of already gets naturally clamped down. And I'm going to try to glue just the edges. I'm not even going to bother trying to, like, fill it in. Because, again, the smallest amount will actually glue it. I'm going to just kind of do, like, the top and the bottom here. Maybe I will do that just before I maybe add the lights. But I think this is dry now, so I can try this second time's a charm, or the third time. We'll find out. A little bit of looseness, because it is going to go around my neck, and I don't want it to be too tight. That's good enough. Let's see if this works. Probably remove these. Okay, this feels good. I'm gonna try it first before I glue it down. Let's see what happens. First of all, okay. Here, I'm gonna switch. Okay, moment of truth. First of all, okay, let's see. So, pull back. So it's doing the effect again. In this is like, you know, I'm after a keto diet, and this is fat on Nick. See, it's a subtle, such a subtle difference, but it drives me a little crazy because, you know, this is a little bit more Zenyatta, and this is like Zenyatta's orbs. All right, let's see if I can even fit my head through this. Details. Oh no, what have I done? It's a little tight, but oh, that is tight. But it works really well. So this is like trying to imagine this after like an 8-hour day of cons. Oh wait, I'm missing something. Probably should loosen this up a little bit. The other thing I wanted to test. Yeah. So the idea is like I wanted to have something that I can also sort of set up like this, so I can kind of I can't see very well with this thing on. Oh no, I did not do the hat. This was Amazon's finest first day delivery tiny hat service. You know you're a cosplayer when you're like, same day delivery on tiny hats? Sign me up. I like restocked a lot of foam and stuff to sort of meet that minimum today. I was like, I want to work on this. I am going to distress this a bit, and he has some like custom lining and stuff for this. But wow, I'm actually really happy with how well this held up, and I'm really sad that I'm probably about to take it out and redo it because that was really tight. But also super effective. I'm like debating, like, you know, cosplay should have a little bit of pain involved, right? Because I'm wondering if it's less tight, if it would look worse. Maybe it'll stretch out just a little bit. Let me try this one more time. This is definitely like firm at least. Let me see also. So I also have this other piece just to kind of finish it. This mean I could make it like slicken it up. This just covers up my ears. And because of the backside, some of it will be seen. And I don't need myself sticking out. I'm gonna leave it for a while. So this is for my reference later because I have no peripheral vision, so I've never actually been able to see what it looks like from behind. So this is, it's a little. I mean, I can breathe. I mean, we'll see what happens when I cover this up too. I'm thinking about maybe, putting like a vent here just to create a little bit of air. Or, you know, I'll just pass out on the con floor. It'll be fine. Or I can just be like, Luke, I am your father too. I see you in chat. All right. So I won't bug you guys. I might loosen that up a little bit at a later date, but I think for now, I think it's fine. We'll see. This might also like loosen up a little bit over time. All right, so while I got this still heated up, I'm gonna go ahead and seal these corners, just for good measure. And I already said I might redo it. Just make that process a little more difficult for me when it happens. All right, and then we are gonna glue. Let's finish this thing up. Let's get the lights on. Let's get the whole shebang. Ow! I knew I was gonna burn myself eventually. Okay. And the pain goes away. That's why I hate. All right. So the next step was this is another scary part. This is E6000. I was wondering if I should start. I was gonna plan out a little bit further before I start to look at this again because I kind of want to like do the. I want to just sort of put the last pieces on all at once, glue it down, and just like not touch it and give the E6000 some time to glue. So I'm going to maybe plan out where I'm going to put the lights because there's still kind of an unknown of where I'm going to place this. So I mentioned this in my last stream, but I'm trying out a new type of light. These are tea lights. They're actually insanely cheap on Amazon. I think you can get like a pack of 6 of these for like $11, and they come in different colors. And what's interesting about them, beyond how it's also really difficult to like unwrap them, here we go, is that they are powered by, I forget what they're called, like the little coin-sized batteries, so they have a really low profile. I had made a helmet with a battery pack at the back once, and I was like, never again. So again, it's actually put out like a fair amount of light for something very, very tiny with a low profile. Let me stretch these out so you guys can see this a bit more. But I need to figure out where exactly this is going to go. And it also looks as like I have to use a screwdriver to remove the battery. So I need to figure out, I think it came with like a little mini screwdriver. I'm going to see how that works. And I may need to mount this somewhere in here. And if I need to Dremel or something, I don't want to do that while the E6000 is drying. Um, let's pull this out. If you are interested in more like lighting stuff, I do have my Instagram. I have a really cool story that goes into details about like how to wire LED strips together, how to make like sheets of them. I'm actually looking forward to this because I won't have to do that. I actually originally found this. I actually bought it trying to see if I could use the battery pack to power one of those strips. Did not work. And these just kind of sat in my like electronics bucket forever. I had like a white pair, and when I was working on this, I was just looking for green LEDs, and I saw them again. I was like, oh, this might actually be a cool idea. All right, let's try to. So I'm also curious to see how I'm gonna, since I've not actually adhered these before. I'm assuming it's really thin and lightweight, so probably hot glue is probably my best bet. I'm not sure where to put each. And again, it's almost Christmas. It's time to start unraveling those lights, right? Actually thinking, I'm gonna put up some holiday lights this year. Find time in between all the cosplay. Happy fall, y'all. Happy Thanksgiving. Just the eve before the holidays truly begin. All right, so happy holidays. I'm gonna switch back here. Hey. All right, so I've got these lights. So it's actually pretty cool. Just figuring this out, talking out loud as I figure this out. So this is like, has this copper wiring. It actually tends to hold its shape pretty well. So I'm thinking I can probably kind of just generally shape it and then hopefully kind of glue it. I also kind of want these lights to be closer together, so I might just kind of do some of that. It's kind of funny. I was joking with myself, I drilled this nose hole earlier for myself, and then like the shape changed and I didn't need it anymore. I was like, oh, maybe that's where I'll wind up going. Oh, that's right. I need to also check about removing the battery. Is move this out of the way for a bit. I think it was in here. This was where it was, but I think the screwdriver was in here. But yeah, this is when you buy these. These come in a pack of 6, and they're super compact, which is like pretty stellar. And as usual, I lost. Let me check back here. True typical fashion. I have one important thing. I'm like, oh, I'm going to need this later. Let me set this down. And then I immediately never can find it. Should have a much larger one that will probably still work. If I can find it. I was joking with someone earlier, like, yeah, I can't really do a crafting stream because I'm going to spend the entire time just searching for things. Believe it or not, I'm fairly organized. I mean, I've got this huge, like, organization system that fails me on a regular basis. Interesting. Oh, it's right beside where I thought it was. Right in front of me the entire time, as it always works. Alright, so let's see what happens when I take these screws off. Because my hope is the screws are like reinforcing it, but aren't like necessary, so I can just unscrew it and just be done with it. Or I don't need the cover on it and I can just leave it open face. Because if if I have to like glue everything and leave this dangling, it's going to be like annoying. But you know, if whatever I have to do. Let's see what happens here. I'm gonna. It is nice. Actually, this screwdriver comes with the purchase, surprisingly. So you get a lot for that, like $11 for this, for these lights. Let me try not to lose these screws. Oh, if you're watching as I'm doing this, you do me a huge favor by subscribing. I can't believe I'm saying that. Only reason I'm saying that is I think if I ever want to get like a formal URL, I need to, like 100 subscribers or something. Chances are if you're watching this, you probably know me, and I'll probably be like, yeah, I'm streaming anyway, but, you know, just do me that solid. Or not, you don't have to, I mean, you know. Never want to be one of those people who's like super naggy about, please follow me on the social media. Almost there. Last screw. I'll say if you're like some miracle you actually managed to find me on YouTube with my 0 subscriber count. You should check out my stuff on Instagram. I'm most active there. And if you're into cosplay and stuff, message me. There's like a fun Discord that I'm part of, which probably the people who are in my channel are probably from. Okay. Okay, so there is no slide off. It just... Oh, there's 2 batteries! Well, no wonder that's the magic. Okay. Surprise! Okay, so it's definitely gonna need to be in there. No, it doesn't actually even work unless it's sealed. What did I do? Does it maybe have to be, is it the opposite side? So I think this is kind of the more fun part of the stream, because I'm definitely one of those people who I like to figure things up as I go along. And I think this is like an important part of the process, is just like thinking things are going to work out one way and then watching things go horribly, horribly wrong. So I think this was flipped. I thought that was something I accidentally did, but it looks like that maybe that was actually correct. Yep! It's alive! Alright. So I am going to need to glue this away. Maybe I will get away with a single screw. So, again, they say this will last me 24 hours. So, I don't know. I've used battery packs that last 3 hours, so I will gladly take this and just have to, like, unscrew 1 screw each before I screw this in. So, if I glue this surface against something and I unscrew this, I should be able to just pull this individual piece pull out. That's yeah, that's more gross. I wonder if there's a way that I could secure this by some other means. It seems to be kind of doing okay. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to screw this on, I'm gonna use some Velcro. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I will Velcro this. That way it could be attached when I need it. I can pull it off and then have a fun day before the con as I go through and swap out all the batteries. I feel like I've done so many costumes with batteries, and I always like am paranoid about it running out of batteries during the con. So I have like this bag of perfectly good batteries that have just been slightly used, so I'm too scared to use them. Looking forward to having the same thing with a new type of batteries. I'm able to screw this in. So I'm going to spare myself the before day con day pain. I'm going to do one screw, which I think will be fine. And I will dig up some Velcro. Alright, so let's chat Velcro for a second. I had a recent learning about Velcro. So you can get Velcro in like two kinds. There's the kind with adhesive, and then there's the kind without adhesive. I was recommended and told, oh, the adhesive kind is awesome! And I've since actually recently ordered non-adhesive Velcro. I think I actually prefer that now. Because the problem is the adhesive is great on like a super flat, dry surface. But it's not super great on surfaces that move. The reason why my Endeavor outfit doesn't really work all the time is because I'm using adhesive Velcro, and when you sew adhesive Velcro, you destroy needles. So I had all this Velcro that really needed to be reinforced with stitches, and you just can't do it. So I am moving towards like the super strong Velcro, but just actually sewing it in or using my own glue. But for today, we're gonna use this stuff. So that's perfect width. This is what I do kind of love. Like, you eventually hit a point, I think, in cosplay where you just have enough materials where it's like, what do I do? Oh, Velcro, I have that. It's like, cosplay was so expensive the first month because it was always like, shit, I think I need Velcro. Ugh, 3 days. Okay, order it. Velcro is expensive. But then you buy it once, and now it's like, where am I going to put all this Velcro? So I have like this giant like system of boxes where are somewhat organized. And then you get to the point where you can just problem solve because you have this stuff like just kind of laying around. So this is the best kind. Yeah, no, I was so desperate because the day before New York Comic Con, and one of the Velcro came out, and I knew I needed to do it, and I went through and I broke every needle I had just to get the stitches in, and I ran out of needles, and there was like one left, and just really glued on, like it'll be fine, and that way, and it fell off at the end of the con, and then on Anime NYC, it came off everywhere except where the stitch was, and it was just kind of it held up, but as I was pulling it off, like it sort of tore a little, and I was like, Velcro! Yeah, I placed an order for some super basic background. I'm super excited for it. Right side, I don't think this is gonna need that much stickiness, so I think this is gonna be good to go whichever way I do it. So I need access to this screw, so I'm gonna have to put it on this side. Should I let my hot glue gun on? I always leave all my hot, dangerous things out. Knives, uncovered. Paint jars, uncovered. Hot glue guns on. Surprised I've not burnt down my apartment yet. And it helps when you craft and drink, too. I should title this, like, stream, How Not to Craft. Like, don't do what I do! You'll murder yourself! Title of the stream, why are you watching me? You should be watching Punish Props. They actually know what they're doing. Seriously, great channel. Evil Ted, he has actual industry experience. I have a Midwestern art degree. All right. Alright, so now I gotta decide. So I'm gonna get this. Adjust my so I gotta basically, my goal is I want to kind of do a loop around kind of each of these just to kind of create a halo of color. So I think it might be like, put this here, 1, 2, 3. So let me try just creating those 3 loops. Because again, this stuff actually looks pretty cool to work with. I'm gonna waste some battery just so I can see them. I think it's going to be easy to divide this into 3 and kind of create those 3 loops. Okay, so starting here. How many lights we got? 1, 2. Art degree, see if I can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 perfectly divisible by 3. So it looks like it's going to be I wasn't even joking. Hey Google, what's 20 divided by 3? Okay, so it's going to be a 6, a 6, and a 7. Does that sound right? No. A 7, a 7, and a 6. That's right. So we're going to have, we'll probably do the 2 eyes being 7 each, and we'll do 6 around the top. So first starting with the top, then we're going to do 6 first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is going to be 1 loop. Just going to temporarily just kind of pinch these. I'm going to let this actually I have an idea. Because these are going to be fairly tight to each other, but I'm going to just let this branch off So that's kind of some distance just in case I need it. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Get our 2 7s. No math here. I appreciate that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My cosplay partner, Bag and Cats, so he's Filipino, and he has this amazing bag that says "Okay at Math." And when he was at Anime NYC, one of the artists had a shirt that said "Crazy Poor Asian." I was like, "The cosplay! You just put those two together." 3, 4, 6, 7. All right. Alright, and then another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, alright. This probably looks like madness. So then my goals, let's see, this is actually it's a good measure. Just gotta make sure there's gonna be enough pull between each. So this is start with this first one, the 6. Let's just see how we can wrangle these in to kind of a tighter loop. This one, they're kind of closer in, a little bit tighter. There's no skill in what I'm doing. This is just luck and prayer. There's no way to prepare for this other than like lots of Christmas trees, unless you're like one of those like people who like Christmas rolls. This is what I didn't want to do. So I didn't want like 2 lights on top of each other. Spread the light out. This is probably good enough. Okay, so this will be this is the number 6. No, this doesn't have to be perfect because they're all gonna kind of be as long as the light itself is not like visible, which is just so you see like, oh, there's a light there. As long as it's like a halo around it, it should be fine. So this is the photo chill. It's actually a really interesting light set. So what these are traditionally used for? It's for like, you know, you're just like the Midwestern mom who's just trying to be a little crafty, and you're like, I want to make a centerpiece, or you're like, you know what? I just need to fill a corner with like a mason jar, and I'm just gonna just stuff this random light in there and change the battery every 24 hours, apparently. That's what this is meant for. Like, if you look at the page, it's all like these things just stuffed inside a vase or a mason jar or someone's soul. I don't know. For me, this is like lightweight cosplay lighting. The fact that they use like this fairly strong wire is actually pretty nice. I could see this having some pretty decent uses, like if you need to just kind of create more like an orb or like fill more of a space, fill like a mason jar with space. This stuff would actually be pretty convenient. This is actually good. There's a good distance between these two, which is, I don't think I'm going to need it, but I just kind of want. So close to finishing this mask. It's almost Thanksgiving, y'all. I'm gonna like do all this and put on a mask and be like, can't see anything, or doesn't work, or it hurts. All right. Origami together 3 beautiful rings. So in theory, we'll get glue this. Probably. I don't know whether I should heat form this a little bit more. Well, actually, we do this too. So this when I bought it was square, was flat. Most plastic can be heat formed, so I just used a heat gun with gloves. Just slowly let it bend. Heat guns are awesome. They're magic. Most of the materials we're working with are some sort of like synthetic plastic something, and heat works wonders on it. I actually had a fun learned fact. When you're working with fake leather and you're stitching it, and you make a mistake and you have to pull it out and like, I've ruined my fake leather with a bunch of stitch holes. You just hit it with a heat gun and it seals the holes away. I looked on the internet. I never saw somebody like suggest that. I looked it up, so I don't know how common knowledge that is, but heat's magic, man. You heard it here. Alright, so we're gonna glue this. I don't know why I spent so much time just kind of poking it there. We're gonna glue this. It's like sort of magically seeing how the pieces come together. Maybe this will sit like down here. That looks like a cozy spot. Glue. It's always like the worst part when you're just like, I just need to like carefully assemble a bunch of things in a small space that's gonna be like seated up like right against my face. What could go wrong? Everything. I wish I would have waited to do this till later, because this is all in my way. Because I want to... Okay. Quick test. This is a terrible idea! Okay, so the battery pack is resting right on my lip. It's very cozy. I feel like I have way more room up here, so I'm probably gonna move it up there. And see some eyes. I mean, they're not glued, so. Oh, you can sort of see the lights up top. You'll probably never see it in a pond, so. let's do this. Probably because it's getting late. I need my beauty sleep. I'm gonna. I'll let you guys see me use the C6000. I'm gonna just glue the Velcro and the acrylic, and I'm gonna save these beauties for probably tomorrow after I give this some time to dry. So I'm gonna have you guys give me some good luck to see if I can actually not screw up this acrylic this time. I haven't actually checked. So E6000 does two things that really annoys me. If I leave this open or sometimes open this up, it likes to spew out. So that happens. I'm glad that I have like granite countertops that I can scrape glue off of fairly easily. Or I'll barely have used it and it will just completely gum up and seal, and then I'll have to like the Michaels and buy some new. So let's see if either of those things happens today. Okay, it's open. It's starting to spew, so I'm trying to keep this away from. Yep. See how it just like immediately starts to come out. This is why craft paper is your best friend. Okay. Will it come out? Oh, it's coming out. Okay, so we are good. No crises yet. So I'm gonna do the more delicate one first, and again, I think I'm just gonna do the sides. I'm gonna say like, you know what, middle piece can just float. And so what's cool about E6000, the benefit, unlike contact cement or even super glue, where you don't have a lot of time to adjust it, with E6000, like, it takes forever to dry, and it's kind of gummy, so it will kind of hold in place, but you can still kind of move it around and just sort of, like, you know, get it right and then, like, slowly step away, and the next morning everything will be fine. So let's see. I'm just gonna do. Here, you can't even see me. All right. I'm going to just do the edge. Again, it shouldn't need too much. And I just got to be careful because you don't want to go like over it, because then you'll bring like a strand and it'll touch it and then you'll be screwed. Because it takes a while to dry, but like it will stick. If you get the slightest bit on here, it will stick, and you'll need to sand it off, and then you'll scratch it, and you'll be running to Canal Street to buy more. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of. It's good because there's enough room now in between, and I actually am happy with how I made these kind of like weird side pads. They kind of help hold this in place, the earpieces. Go a little low because I want to make sure there's plenty of room. Sort of naturally stick in here, and hopefully a little bit lower. Again, I'm not going straight up against it. This may be. May need to actually clamp this down somehow. Don't know how that might be. You can see I'm already, like, this is getting slightly close to that. I don't want that to happen. Actually going to. I'm just gonna hope that that's enough. I'm gonna let that go, and again, it's one of those that's kind of, you do it. It's also enough that if it doesn't work out, you can easily pull it off again and try. So this looks about right. What I really probably should have done is I think what's happening right now is ultimately have shaped this enough this way that I probably should have heat formed this a little bit further. I'm going to give it the night, and if this is enough to hold it, good. I'm just not going to worry about it. And then I'm just going to glue the other piece, which should be fine. This is always like, this is the hardest part, because like when you're in the front of a mask or something that's very visible, you have a process for everything, and you're so careful about it because it's visible. It's these pieces that are kind of behind the mask where you're like, it can be ugly, or I can take a shortcut. It's no big deal. That is sometimes like the worst, because you have that temptation of just like, it's fine. And then like, you know, maybe I should have perfectly formed it and, you know, trimmed it or cut it or something, but nope, instead I'm just going to put a lot of glue on it and just shove it in there. And this one looks, that one's going to be perfect. The one that doesn't matter is going to be great. Let me try to actually center it a bit. So, again, I love E6000 for the fact that you can, again, all of my Endeavor flames I had were like a thin line of E6000, and that's held it all up. So we'll see if that does the same with this. I might try to find something heavy to sit on these, like, I don't know. That's a terrible idea. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to let this sit. I'm actually going to probably glue this piece on somewhere too. Put this up top. I'm going to wait. I'm going to give this a dab of E6000 too, because I'm probably not going to do much crafting tomorrow because I've got some hot pot to eat and flushing. So excited. We'll see. It'd be nice to get this like done for good. I'm just gonna randomly just put this like there, like. All right. So I'm gonna let this sit. I don't have a finished one in the oven that I can just pull out and show you, but perhaps tomorrow. Thanks for joining me on my second crafting adventure. I hope to be doing more of these. I'm really excited to start some new projects, just to kind of blank slate, no preparation, like, hey, let's start pattern making and seeing what we can make. Few projects. I've got some armor stuff for my Konosuba build, and I'm going to be making like a crazy light up axe using like PVC pipe, and also that material I was talking about earlier with the flames, the stuff that I was using for Endeavor. That's going to be a super fun project. You can see how I actually create like this random sawhorse out of my furniture to be able to like heat form and sort of Jaws of Life, or the opposite of Jaws of Life, PVC pipe together. So have a good night, y'all. Happy Thanksgiving.